Hey there, meteorologist Gabe Maynor here with a severe weather update heading into our Monday evening. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. this evening for Calhoun County, Yalobusha County, and for southern Lafayette County. Now, moving out of southern Lafayette County as we speak, what is our main concern with this system? Well, what we're tracking is another storm that has a decent hail core to it, and just tracking those severe weather threats, you can definitely see that those darker blues showing up. And as we populated a few of those totals, we're talking about 1.5-inch hail up to 2-inch hail possible. Now, of course, all of that reaching the surface, it's a bit of a stretch. So similar to that storm we saw earlier where it had a 2-inch hail signature on our severe weather threat, it was producing about a 1/2-inch hail all the way down to the surface. So that's kind of what we expect with this, is just kind of melting on its way. But as we track this back over the past few minutes, you can see that we had some of those deeper blues, hence the reason why we had that severe thunderstorm warning get issued. So wouldn't be surprised to see some 1/2-inch hail reports around the Paris community and now extending into northern Calhoun County. Let's jump to the latest scan right here and assess that in more detail. And of course, you can see that it is now a little bit lighter, but we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it with a grain of salt. We're still going to treat this like a severe storm because, as you can see right there, some of those purples still showing up. I mean, that shows you that this is still a decent and healthy storm. Let's put this in 3D mode so we can better assess this. And as this continues to move through the Calhoun County area, I'm going to put it more of that horizontal mode so that we can get a better view of this. And let's take it through that hail core. And you can definitely see that some of those blacks getting into about 20 to possibly even 30,000 feet. I want to go back to when that warning was issued. So let me go back a few scans. And I need to get a better visual on this to see when exactly this was. So it would have been right there. And as I scroll in, and we're gonna take this right through the core. I mean, yeah, that's more impressive returns earlier on around 9:12 this evening. So being that it is 9:23, about 10 minutes after this, that's all the time you need for this to enter a collapsing phase and to become less impressive. So as of right now, I'm not seeing any storm reports confirming any of those hailstones. So fortunately, this remains a radar indicated severe storm rather than it being confirmed on the ground. So if you know anyone in the Calhoun County area or the Yalobusha County area, and they live, where the storm is, then go ahead and let them know to submit their reports to us, Mississippi Live Weather. They can be done either through the app or through email, info@MSLiveWeather, and we can forward that to whoever it needs to go to. So if we look at the last 30 minutes or so to kind of get a good track on the speed, that would be 8:54. And you can see that it was in southern Lafayette County and then got a little bit more impressive. This one, a bit of a faster mover than what originally they were earlier on. Let me do a measurement here to kind of get a good idea. We're still talking about 15 to 20 miles an hour. And as we know from earlier, that is a drastic change considering the other storms were about 5 to 10 miles an hour. So I'm going to need to expand this out and go a little bit more south. And we'll take it 19 to better be on the safe side and let folks know out ahead of this. Just making sure that path is right. Let's put it in the last 30 minutes. And yeah, I would say this went directly south almost. So we're talking Schoona 945. We'll jump to the latest scan so we're not looping like that. Schoona 945, Pardee 946, Pittman 948, Benwood 954, Tyson 956, Hyde 1003, New Hope about 1010, and Young's closer to about 1015. So this remains a strong thunderstorm. As you can see, an electric thunderstorm. One thing that I like to do to kind of assess, the maturity of the storm is go from the electricity. And so as you can see here, increasing in coverage about 49 strikes at 9:09 over the last 30 minutes. Let's jump to now, where we are currently at 69 strikes. So that is a more impressive thunderstorm than what it once was. So still showing that this is not collapsing just yet. We're still at that peak intensity. So hopefully, this is where it tops out at, and then it starts to diminish just a bit, but that starts to move a little bit closer to Pine Valley here in the next few moments along Highway 32, and that's going to be affecting folks with heavy rainfall and even a few small hailstones. So as we look at the severe weather threats, still seeing right at the heart of that storm about 1.5-inch hail returns, probably about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch reaching all the way to the surface. So one thing I'm going to do here real quick is try and pull up the live stream because I want to see what folks are saying in regards to, any reports that they have. So let me pull that up right here behind the scenes, and it shouldn't take but just a second, so bear with me. But yeah, that continues to be our most impressive storm. As you guys saw earlier on, we definitely dealt with a lot of activity over there towards Marshall County, all the way into Tate and DeSoto County. All of those starting to extend further south. We said basically along I-55, and it's really following that. As you can see right here, I-55 extending that north-south development right through Yalobusha County, and of course, we're not far away from that. So model's doing a good job on kind of forecasting this, and give it credit where it's due. So I think I'm able to pull this up right here. Let me pull up the chat. You know what? It's probably not going to pull up messages until just now. So let me go check behind the scenes here real quick. I want to make sure that we are checking all the reports that we can. Okay, so no reports so far. And again, if you have any reports, please let us know. Please put those down in the chat, and we will, of course, be checking those and forwarding them over to the National Weather Service. I'm going to zoom back in because it looks like, let me see where this is at. Where's my button? There's my button. Yeah, 2-inch hail. So this is still impressive. We didn't have a 2-inch hail marker earlier on. So if we go back a couple of scans, you can see how that kind of weakened out for just a brief moment. Now starting to get a little bit more impressive. Clear that off. Let's go back to reflectivity. And I'm going to do a 3D assessment on this one more time to just, again, it kind of just helps us see those hail cores a little bit easier and a little bit more in detail. So I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to have to expand this out just a bit. So some of that hail core, I mean, you can see right there, those blacks getting into about 15,000 feet. That's our decent hail core right there. But those purples extending as far aloft as about 25,000 feet, all the way up to maybe even 30,000 feet. So this is definitely still an intense storm, and it's still healthy, I should say. So not collapsing just yet. And we are going to keep eyes on that again. So, but yeah, this was issued at about 9:15 this evening, now being issued until 10 p.m. for Calhoun County and for folks there towards Yalobusha County. Now, folks that can, forget about this, not concerning you anymore, is up there around Paris, Potlockney, Union Hall, anywhere on the southern Lafayette County side of the county line. You guys are good. Palestine community, you guys are good. Along Highway 315, you guys are good. That's just going to be areas that this is now cleared. As you can see, the motion moving in that southerly motion, so it's still going to impact folks. I think we stay just east of you towards Velma, and I think we stay just west of you towards Banner. I say that with a grain of salt. Let me check those latest scans. I think this does stay away from you. I mean, that's a decent hail core right across Highway 32 right now. Let's check that scan again, because that looks more impressive than what it even was one scan ago. So let me expand it out, and I'm going to have to go back in here and pull that and go right there. Let me see this. Yeah, much more impressive right there. We're talking easily 20,000 feet on some of those hail core returns. So a lot of that still being lifted up into the sky, going to have to fall at some point, and that's the scary part about it. So if it has not fallen, it will, and that's going to produce some decent hail as a result. So that's why that severe thunderstorm warning is now issued. So make sure to, if your cars are out there and you are in the Banner community, or the Ellard community, should I say, anywhere along Highway 32. I hope you've already moved your cars, but for folks on the southern end of this warning, and we'll drag another storm track on here real quick. I hope that your vehicles are not out and about, because this still remains a pretty strong storm with some hail returns as well. I mean, yeah, still showing about 2-inch hail possible with this storm. Again, pull it back just a bit. We're talking about 1/2 inch on some of those returns, especially compared to what we were able to actually place with it earlier on today. So that helps to get us a good idea on what these storms are capable of. And a big thank you to our weather watchers there in Marshall County, because you've kind of dictated this entire day. Without your report, we'd be questioning, well, what's actually falling to the surface? Because it does have to melt on the way down, and it does have a decent while before it reaches all the way to the ground. So that report, that's why it matters. So still looking right here, I don't see. Okay, hang on. Had pea-sized hail in Batesville and crazy wind. Okay, yeah, that's one thing that we have not looked at in enough detail, is some of those winds. Not getting as impressive of returns, but you said up around the Batesville area. So that would have been storms earlier on today, I believe. Let me go back a little bit. Yes, so that would have been these storms right here, that cluster. When that cluster broke off, you see that impressive storm? Oh, I'm blocking it, I apologize. But there's that impressive storm towards Batesville, and that was what they're talking about, pea-sized hail. That was Bailey Turner in Batesville, so thank you to your report. And crazy wind as well, looking at some of those wind returns. I mean, the thing with the winds that we're getting here on our radar is just not as impressive as what's actually happening on the surface. Again, that report helps us big time, because it can kind of help tell us that winds don't have to be impressive aloft for them to be impressive at the surface. And so, take it with a grain of salt whenever assessing these storms in the future, that if they have a decent makeup to it, that, they could be producing some decent wind gusts at the surface. So, probably about 30, 40 miles an hour if you're seeing crazy wind. That's what I would assess just from my knowledge of the area and of these thunderstorms. But there you see that they've broken off. And then one of the other clusters that we were watching was this one that was just able to soak up all that energy. And that's the one we're continuing to assess over there towards Pine Valley, right over Highway 32 as of this point. And you can see the heart of that cell, how energetic it is, and those purples and blacks, those light purples and blacks. In regards to our scale right here, you can kind of see that we are on the higher end of that scale with heavy rainfall. Really what this means is there's a ton of lift in the atmosphere, so this is just starting to elevate more and more. As you saw with that hail core, about 25 to 30,000 feet, and the electricity. I mean, we were tracking 69 strikes earlier. Now what are we at? 92? 93? So yeah, this storm continues to mature, so it is just following that boundary that has been driving this entire storm more and more. So I hope that you don't have anything out there that is that can be dented or anything like that, because I would not be surprised to see some large hail out of this. Still at the core of this, I mean, it's showing 2-inch hail. I would not be surprised to see 1-inch hail coming out of this if it's reaching all the way up to about 25 or 30,000 feet. A little bit taller than our storms over there towards Marshall County in regards to that hail core. But as I take a 3D section, I'm sorry that I'm doing this so repetitively, but I'm also not going to apologize, because at the same time, it's helping us get an idea of just how significant these storms are. And as I put that slice on there, one of the things that just happened was we got our latest radar scan. So let's drag this over the storm. It's still getting into about 20,000 feet. You can see reaching all the way up right there. That second line is about 20,000 feet, first line 10,000. And earlier on, I mean, we were talking about 30,000 feet. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Come back. Gotta love technology. Okay, pull it back on. Let me drag this out. And we're gonna do the same thing again. So there we go, 20,000 feet. Still an impressive return, maybe even 21,000 feet if we're getting nitpicky on this cross section. I want to go through the entire storm and make sure that that is the peak. Yeah, a lot of this, I would say, is falling to the surface as of this now. There's debris all over, trash cans all thrown also, so be careful driving. Yeah, there were reports of some trees down over there towards, I think, Marshall County, if I remember correctly. And that's, again, those winds at the surface just being more impressive than the winds aloft. So that's not a tornadic thing whenever we say debris. That's just wind damage that can knock trash cans over. As you know, my house is very familiar with trash cans falling over whenever it's a windy event. So completely get that. And so make sure to secure those loose objects. As of now, I mean, we're talking about being a little too late for some folks. So that's the unfortunate part about it. But as this continues to move south, if you live anywhere along Highway 330 on the Calhoun County, Yalobusha County line, go ahead and secure those loose objects, because you do have a little bit of time. Again, not talking about tornadic event. We're talking about an isolated severe storm that is capable of producing some large hail. So for folks now joining us, we do see a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. this evening for Calhoun and Yalobusha County. Still have that warning for folks in Lafayette County. Don't worry about it. It is further south, so not affecting you guys. So folks in Paris, folks over there towards Union Hall, basically along Highway 315, you guys are good to go. This has pushed a little bit south. River, I will get with Matt on that, because that's not a bad idea. I'm just trying to read through some of the reports. And for folks that are not just now joining us, if you guys do have any reports, go ahead and submit those to us. And you can do so through, pictures. Don't go out in the hail. But once the event passes over, if there's still some hailstones in the yard, grab them, take a picture, put them up next to a coin or something, and you can forward that to us. But also, if you guys just can see it visually and at least say, hey, there's some small hail falling. Let us know that to kind of get an understanding that we are getting some hail that's reaching the surface. So Lisa, I see that you said rained hail for about 10 minutes, dime size, all ice in the storm you were talking about. Lisa, where exactly was that? Because, I mean, you can see it's covering a decent area. We're talking all the way across Highway 32 from Pine Valley, about halfway to Banner. So that's a pretty large area that could be producing some of this hail. And yours is probably earlier on. So I'm curious if it was more on the northwest side of Calhoun County. 3.6 miles is what we have this core at. And so that's really the area that has the potential to produce some small hail. If we take this cross section one more time, yes, we're going to keep doing this, because this is how you see hail in storms. And I went to Mississippi State, so what can I say? Hail State, right? But as we push this back towards the storm, okay, that looks better. That looks way better. And you might be asking, well, what looks better? Well, the fact that we're not reaching 20,000 feet with those blacks and those purples is a good sign, because that means this thunderstorm looks like it might be collapsing. And as long as that continues to verify itself, I think we're looking in much better shape than what we were previously. So folks down there towards Pardee and Benwood might be lucking out on this if this continues to trend that way. I will say, recent scans, it does not look like it's moving nearly as fast. If I go back, let's take it back to 906, and we're going to get a good idea on this path. So let me extend it right there. We're going to do some measuring behind the scenes. Oh, give me one second. Okay, so we're talking about 20 miles an hour or so. So as I drag this out about 20 miles an hour towards the south, because again, this is building south. If you want me to put it on a loop here real quick, you can definitely get a good idea. Yeah, I mean, directly south still. So if we take that path directly south, let me drag this out here real quick and jump this to the latest scan. We're going to drag out the entire leading edge of that storm. And again, I'm hopeful that this is dissipating on out, or collapsing, should I say, not dissipating. We're seeing Pardee by about 950. Again, guys, say your prayers down around Pardee. I think we might luck out if this continues to collapse on itself. Schoona 950, Pittman 951, Benwood 953, New Hope 954, Tyson 955, 1003 around Bounds, Retreat about 1011, Young's 1014, and I don't even want to brave that last name. Sabugla, 1031. That's what we're going to say right now. Drivers Flat community north of where you just said. So north of Highway 32, I'm assuming. And it rained hail for about 10 minutes, dime size. So the good thing about that is it seems like it's more numerous rather than large. And that means it's more quantity over quality, which granted quality you say with a grain of salt. But what that means is that it's a lot falling rather than one giant hailstone falling all the way to the surface. So dime-sized hail, if we take that up a little bit north, you said a little bit north of where we were just talking about. So that would have been right there, I would assume. We're talking north of Highway 32, and if I take that cross section, let's take a look at how high these reach up, because that is going to be key to how these are assessed into the rest of the night, because yes, thunderstorms are still possible, and some of those could produce some small hail. So this was where we tracked it, that it was reaching about 20 to 21,000 feet up in the sky with that hail course. So no surprise there that we were getting about dime-sized hail, and I assume that was a report from inside the house, Lisa. I'm praying that's what it was, because I don't want anyone out in this storm in the middle of some hail. But dime-sized hail with 20,000 feet kind of lines up well with what we were getting in Marshall County whenever it was about 25,000 feet and producing just under nickel-sized hail, because that really corresponds to each other. So that kind of gives us a really good idea. So a big thank you to Lisa for submitting that report. Pouring in Grenada. Now, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, these produce decent downpours, because if it's not falling as hail, it's falling as heavy, heavy raindrops. And you said towards Grenada. Yeah, you guys are dealing with the thunderstorm right in the heart of you guys, but no complaints there, right? We all need rainfall, so definitely keep it going. Really close to the corner of the three counties. Okay, I gotcha. So that would have been up here. Let me take it back a little bit more. Okay, yep. You know what we're doing now? We've been doing it all night. We're going to do it again because we can. So dragging that out. You know what, that's reaching about 15,000 feet. So, yeah, that's 15,000 feet, about dime-sized hail. So I think that's still verified. Like, that still kind of makes sense with what we've been seeing across the region. So, let me make sure. Okay, let me drag it out to the latest scan. My apologies, I was just doing some stuff behind the scenes. What we're seeing right now, it looks like it's collapsing on itself. That is a great sign. The thing is, once these collapse, you kind of get those downdrafts at the surface that just basically collapse and spread out. And so hopefully that does not produce some gusty winds, but I would not be surprised to see that. So, so hopefully that doesn't do anything. But we've already gotten reports of a thunderstorm knocking down some garbage cans around Batesville. And so definitely some gusty conditions. So make sure to be on the safe side, secure those loose objects for sure, but I don't want you guys out in this. Strike-wise, we're still seeing about 126 strikes. So this is still a mature thunderstorm, but hopefully I think we've reached our peak right now if this continues. So I see folks asking, is this an all-night thing? Well, let's look at that day one risk. And reason why is because earlier on we did have that risk in place, now has been taken away, so not expect not expecting anything here in North Mississippi for any severe weather. Again, it's just these thunderstorms that go in the right motion, that just produce, take in the right energy and have the right amount of lift to produce a brief severe thunderstorm. So this has been I would say a severe thunderstorm for about 20 minutes or so, but now hopefully collapsing in on itself and therefore dissipating out. So that's what we're watching. Heath, I see you say hopefully no tornadoes. No tornadoes are expected within this. The thing that we're going to be getting is large hail and some gusty winds at the surface. What I'm seeing right now is winds remaining subsevere for the most part. There was some wind damage reported around Marshall County that could have been classified as severe. Still doing some assessments on that, but pretty decent lightning shows, storm chasers are saying. So no surprise there. I mean, look at how many lightning strikes, 123 strikes over the last 30 minutes. But yeah, no tornadoes are expected. It's sprinkling and thundering on 3:15 and 7. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's definitely a, oh, you said sprinkling. Hang on a second. So that would be right here towards Water Valley. And I'm curious, Ashley, looking southeast, how electric is it, right? Because you're getting a good view of this storm and on the backside of it, so you have no concerns with it. That is the best side to be on. Can you check Batesville? Batesville is in the clear. Batesville dealt with a storm earlier on this evening that had a decent thunderstorm moving on through. It was part of this cluster that we had. If I go back about 2 hours or so, you can see how we just had multiple storms all across this general region of Panola, Lafayette, Calhoun, and Yalobusha County. And you see how they all split up. Well, some of them dissipated, but the others just started to build. And that was that one there towards southern Lafayette and this one over there towards Batesville. And that's where we got some reports of small hail and some gusty winds. And so that was definitely a storm to pay attention to. Not severe, but then we got this one that just decided to soak up all of the energy. And that's been the one we've been paying attention to here at Mississippi Live Weather. So again, meteorologist Gabe Boehner assessing a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 p.m. this evening. That is for Calhoun County and Yalobusha County. Lafayette County has since been trimmed off and even there towards the northwest portion. So Lisa, not in that severe thunderstorm warning anymore. You can go to sleep soundly. So hopefully nothing happened at your house. I see you said, haven't checked my windshields yet. I'm hoping they're all in one piece. And with dime-sized hail, I expect them to be. It's the larger hail that you really have to be concerned with. Let's take one more cross-section of this, and then I think we are good to take a step back because we do have a show coming up in about 16 minutes. And so I'm going to put something together for that. And of course, you guys can tune in and we'll look at this in a little bit more detail. Hail core still looking like it's reaching close to about 20,000 feet once again, but it's more of those purples that are showing up. Those blacks remaining about 10,000 feet. And so that tells me that this is kind of still collapsing on itself. And so that threat level is diminishing as well. Going to look at our severe threats just because, you know, we have it, might as well utilize it and go back to that home view. And I'm going to go back to our reflectivity and then of course, severe weather threat. And go in right there, and what you're seeing is you're not getting those brighter blue returns. And so I think that we have diminished, it's collapsed on itself, and a lot of what we're seeing right now is just going to be that 1 inch to 1.5 inch hail, but what's reaching the surface is about dime-sized hail max. So we are going to take more time to assess all of this coming up tonight at 10, so make sure to tune in. And I have the chat pulled up right here, so if anyone has any questions that they want to submit during that 10 o'clock broadcast, I'll be able to look at those, answer anything that you guys have in detail, and let you guys know some of the I would say all clears. It's just that summer cyclical pattern. So like, I want to say all clear, but at the same time, you're still in that boundary where more is possible. So we're going to keep eyes on it, of course. But yeah, more details coming up on 10 with some of that tracking that we'll be looking at in more detail. So we'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. But I thank you guys for watching. And of course, make sure to stay weather aware throughout the rest of the evening, as will we here behind the scenes. And that warning is expected to expire in about 14 minutes. As long as the storm continues that track, we expect that to happen. So again, thank you guys for joining us. Stay safe this evening, and we'll see you back here in about 14 minutes. So stay safe for 14 minutes, unless we need to come on before then. We'll be right here. And of course, well, this isn't going to work, so I'll go behind the scenes. If you guys don't have the app and want to download it, if you're watching on social media, well, our app is readily available and you can go ahead and download that using the links right here. It's free on iOS and Android, so scan the QR codes right there and you'll be able to get it. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes.
For more than 100 years,